All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video as we recap everything that happened in Week 14 around the NFL with the 49ers on the bye week. And, of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And they do run out. So get there early, get some brisket chili. Tell them that Krug sent you. All right, let's get into everything that happened week 14 in the NFL. It got rolling Thursday night when Detroit beat Dallas by 2 touchdowns, 44-30. Detroit goes to 8-5. Jahmyr Gibbs had 3 touchdowns in the game. The big story in this game, though, was that Detroit lost Brian Branch for the year. One of the best young defensive backs in the game. He can play safety, he can play corner, he can play in anywhere. He tore his Achilles, he's out for the year. Rough break for the Lions, who go to 8-5, and kind of the end of the road for Dallas, you would think, with that loss. They're now going to look ahead towards 2026. They're not mathematically eliminated, but they're close to it. Now, Monday Night Football will wrap up Week 14. It's the 8-4 Eagles against the 8-4 Chargers at SoFi. Eagles are 2.5-point favorites on the road. We'll see if the Eagles can bounce back after not playing well, particularly well the last couple of weeks. How about Seattle today in Atlanta? 37-9 over the Falcons. Rashid Shaheed in the third quarter had a 100-yard kickoff return touchdown. This game was tied at 6 at halftime. And Seattle rolls in the second half, 31 points in the second, 31-point difference in the game. 37-9, Seattle goes to 10-3. They got Julian Love back. He's a tremendous player. Atlanta, man, 8th consecutive losing season in a row, and they've lost 7 of 8. So they're circling the drain. Not a good finish. It's funny, Atlanta was looking great. Then they played the Niners, and they just didn't recover after that. I mean, they just did not recover. Buffalo over Cincinnati, 39-34. Christian Benford with a 63-yard pick six with 5:25 left, and that was the difference. Buffalo overcame a 10-point fourth quarter deficit, and the Bills have won 2 in a row. Cincinnati's thinking about 2026. Tennessee beat Cleveland. They're next up for the Niners, and they beat the Browns in Cleveland 31-29. They're only the second win of the year for the Titans. Tony Pollard with a career-high 161 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Tennessee snapped a 7-game skid. They averaged over 5.3 yards per carry. Cam Ward beat Shedeur Sanders, and the Titans will show up at Levi's with 2 wins to their credit on the year. How about Washington? Oh, my goodness. The Commanders. You got to wonder if Quinn's in trouble there. 31-0. They lose in Minnesota to the Vikings. J.J. McCarthy was pretty good in this game. He was 16 of 23 for 163 yards. He had 3 touchdown passes. He's only making his 7th NFL start. I think people had already decided that he stinks. Jaden Daniels got hurt in this game, a left elbow in the third quarter. Washington suddenly has lost 8 in a row. The Commanders, last year one of the surprise teams in the NFL, are 3-10 through 13 games this year. Ouch. Bad year for the Commanders. All right, let's take a quick timeout, a brief timeout to tell you about our friends at Brunt. Today's video is sponsored by Brunt Workwear, and let me tell you, I was blown away when I pulled these boots out of the box. I've got the Omen Soft Toe in black right here. I love these boots. I've been wearing them for a few days. They're comfortable, no painful break-in, no sore feet, just tough, durable boots that feel great right away. The story behind Brunt is awesome, too. Their founder, Eric Gerard, grew up blue-collar. His friends in the trades told him that the big brands had sold out and stopped listening, so he built Brunt to make gear for real hardworking people. That's why every product is named after the guys he grew up with. The boots are made by and for the trades. Now, whether you need waterproof, safety toe, soft toe, pull on, lace up, Brunt has options that can handle whatever job site you're walking into. And the best part, if they're not right for you, you can wear them and still send them back. That's how much Brunt believes in their product. Right now, for a limited time, you can get $10 off Brunt when you use the code Larry at checkout. Just head to bruntworkwear.com/Larry. Enter the code Larry and you're good to go. After you order, they'll ask you where you heard about Brunt. Do us a favor. Tell them it was from the Krug Show. So don't settle for uncomfortable boots that don't hold up. Brunt built something better. Insanely comfortable, durable work boots for real work. And thanks to Brunt for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Let's talk more about Week 14 in the NFL. Dolphins beat the Jets in New Jersey, 34-10, the final. Miami suddenly has won 4 in a row. Maybe Mike McDaniel saves his gig there. Tua's never lost to the Jets, by the way. He's 7-0 against the Jets. Devin Achane ran for 92 yards and a touchdown. Jets fall to 3-10. They missed the playoffs for the 15th consecutive year. Tyrod Taylor got the curse of being started on my fantasy team, so he wound up leaving in the first quarter with an injury. Brady Cook came on, and he was 14 of 30 for 163 yards, 2 interceptions in his, I think pretty much his NFL debut. Dolphins beat the Jets big at MetLife. Saints beat the Buccaneers. Maybe the Buccaneers are kind of going nowhere. Bucks fall to 7-6. The Saints with Tyler Shuck beat them in Tampa on a driving rainstorm. 24-20 was the final. Shuck had 2 touchdown runs. He's now 2-3 as a starter. Saints get their 3rd win of the year, and the Bucks fall to 7-6. Jacksonville over the Colts, 36-19. Jacksonville's 11th straight home win over Indianapolis, and this was a costly one for the Colts. Daniel Jones went out in the second quarter with a right Achilles injury. He's feared to be done for the year. If so, it's either Riley Leonard or Anthony Richardson against the 49ers when the Niners go to Indy on a Monday night or in a couple of weeks. Jacksonville wins today, 36-19. Jacksonville 9-4. They've won 4 in a row. Riley Leonard did come off the bench. As I said, that former Notre Dame star, 18 of 29, 145 yards. He had an interception. He also had a touchdown run. The Colts lose 36-19. Wow, how about the Colts? You know, they're like all in. They trade for Sauce Gardner. He gets hurt. Now Daniel Jones is hurt, and they were looking like this was their year. Now they're limping towards the finish line, and who knows how they're going to finish. Steelers beat the Ravens in Baltimore. Is the John Harbaugh era coming to an end? You got to wonder. 27-22, Steelers win. Baltimore falls to 6-7. Baltimore outrushed Pittsburgh 217 to 34 yards and lost. That's hard to do. Pittsburgh 7-6. They take over the division lead. Aaron Rodgers played really well, maybe his best game of the year, threw for 284 yards, had a touchdown run. Pittsburgh led 17-9 at halftime in this game, and they go on and win 27-22. And the Ravens suddenly, are looking really, really bad. And, at times the Ravens can look like the best team in football, but, man, they don't look like the best team in football right now. Maybe the best team in football might be the Denver Broncos. The Broncos beat the Raiders in Vegas 24-17, and Denver, don't look now, but the Broncos have won 10 in a row. Broncos go to 11-2. Raiders fall to 2-11. Geno Smith got knocked out in the third quarter with a hand and a shoulder injury. Kenny Pickett had to come on. Raiders have dropped 7 in a row and 11 of 12. The Raiders have lost 11 straight games inside their division. Nick Bonito had a couple sacks. Denver's too much for the Raiders. They didn't play great, but they win anyway. 24-17. Broncos get it done on the road. All right, let's talk about some of the other games, though. There were some really, really good games, and we're kind of saved the best for last going through this Week 14 action. Packers-Bears at Lambeau went to the Green Bay Packers 28-21 in a game that went back and forth. Green Bay's now 9-3-1. Chicago's 9-4. Here's the lesson here. Ben Johnson said at his introductory press conference that he really enjoys beating Matt LaFleur. All right. And I guess he had maybe had the upper hand on LaFleur in Detroit. Well, you know what? You got to know the score. And right now, the score is LaFleur's kicking your ass if your name's the Chicago Bears. And it's probably not wise to talk trash to LaFleur when he rolled into today's game with an 11-1 record against the Bears. But that's exactly what Ben Johnson did. And now LaFleur's 12-1 career against the Bears. And you just never want to give your opponent bulletin board material. And to have it come from the head coach is really pathetic. And that's bad. That's bad form there. I'm not saying that if he hadn't said that, Chicago would have beaten Green Bay, but you never give your opponent bulletin board material if you can avoid it. Keyshawn Nixon had a game-sealing interception for Green Bay. Green Bay's won 4 in a row, and they snapped the Bears' 5-game win streak. Green Bay's 4-0 in the division. As I said, LaFleur's now 12-1 against the Bears. It was a 16-degree day at Lambeau Field, and the second round of this matchup is December 20th at Soldier Field, just a couple hundred miles to the south there in Chicago. So we're going to get to see this one again. Are they going to split with each team winning at home, or are the Packers going to sweep it and win at Soldier Field? I think the Packers may sweep it, to be honest. I thought the Bears would really run it on the Packers, but the Packers played well today. Christian Watson looked good. He had 2 touchdowns. Chicago was without Rome Odunze, and Green Bay will play at Denver next Sunday, so they've got a tough road. But Green Bay goes to 9-3-1, and the Bears fall to 9-4, and they play again in a couple weeks. Rams, how about the Rams today beating Arizona 45-17? LA rolls to 10-3. Arizona falls to 3-10. LA owns Arizona. I mean, they just own them. They're 15-3 in the last 18 against the Cardinals. Stafford looks like the MVP. He threw for 281 yards and 3 more touchdowns. 2 touchdowns each for Puka Nacua and Blake Corum. At one point, LA scored 35 unanswered in this game, and they're rolling, man. They've won 7 of 8. Arizona's going the other way. They've lost 5 straight and 10 of 11. And it's funny. I mean, you look at this Rams team. They can really look overpowering because they can look great on both sides of the ball. They held Arizona to 17 points, and the Rams offense produced 306 total yards in the first half. Yeah. So right now the Rams are looking good. Explosive offensive team. They can put 40 on the board, and they can hold you into the teens. And that means they win going away. They're the team to beat. I got to think that if you're the 49ers, you got to hope somebody comes along and knocks them off, because I think the Niners are going to have a hard time beating the Rams. But who knows? Maybe somebody will do it for them. And then the Sunday nighter, Houston beat Kansas City at Arrowhead to put a fork in the Chiefs. Kansas City's done. They're not mathematically done, but they're 6-7. Their 10 straight playoff appearance streak is very much on the line. It's 10 straight years they've made the playoffs. Houston goes to 8-5. They got a really good defense, and they really bothered Mahomes tonight. Mahomes threw 3 picks. He was 14 of 33 for 160 yards, no touchdowns, and 3 picks. Kansas City also lost Trent McDuffie, their awesome slot corner, and went down with a knee injury in this game to add injury to insult. So Nico Collins, 4 catches for 121 yards. Houston, watch out for Houston. They got a championship caliber defense. They've won 5 in a row. They're playing well. So there you go. There's your breakdown of Week 14 around the NFL. And, a couple really interesting things, I think. One, it looks like this is the end of the run for the Chiefs and maybe the end of the run for the Ravens. And, I will say this, it's like, this is a league that things go by fast. Everything happens very quickly. You go from your window's open to your window is sort of open to your window's absolutely shut in the blink of an eye. And, you look at what's going on before our eyes. What are we seeing? We're seeing the young upstart Patriots really, really looking good, right? We're seeing the young upstart Chicago Bears, sitting at 9-4, looking really good. So, I mean, you've got some young football teams. I mean, even the 49ers at 9-4. I mean, it's a relatively young team with a lot of young players. And they're 9-4. Youth is being served. And look at some of the older teams. They're starting to kind of fall by the wayside. And you just kind of wonder, what's going to happen with a team like the Eagles or Kansas City. Is their window gonna close on them? So you never know. But I'm looking at Baltimore. Baltimore 6-7, going nowhere. I'm looking at the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers is looking kind of old. I'm looking at some of these teams. And Kansas City's got a lot of talent, but Kansas City just looks a little old, and they're a little beat up. And they've played, with all the years, that 10 straight years of going to the playoffs, you've got a whole season of extra games, and it catches up with you. It starts to catch up with you, and it looks like it's starting to catch up with the Ravens. It looks like it's starting to catch up with Kansas City, and yet you see young ascending football teams like Chicago and New England, um, looking like Super Bowl contenders. So we'll see. It's wide open. It is wide open in the NFL. Wide open. Buffalo's got a shot. The Patriots have a shot. The Texans have a shot because of their defense. Denver's got a shot. Kansas City's out. Do the Chargers have a shot? I don't know. So, I would say in the AFC, the teams that really have a shot would be Denver, Houston, New England, and Buffalo. That's it. That's it. In the NFC, who's got a real shot? Philly. Philly's got a real shot, but they don't look good. Green Bay, Chicago, Detroit, they all have a real shot. One of them may not make the playoffs. Does Tampa have a real shot? I don't know. I don't think so. The one thing about this, we're at a time of the year where, in addition to looking at the records, you really got to look at the point differentials, because the point differential will tell you a little bit about these teams. How good are these teams? How about Chicago? They're 9-4, but they're -1 on the point differential. How about Tampa? Tampa is 7-6, leading their division. They're -26 point differential. That's unbelievable. Every single team in the NFC South is negative point differential. So, who are the real good point differential teams? The Rams, the Seahawks. They're over +100, and New England +110. Those are the best teams as far as point differential. But it just kind of goes to show that, like, some of these teams, like, how many contenders really are there? Well, in the NFC, it's Rams, Seahawks. Probably, if you want to give the 49ers contender status, you can say they're not contenders. But you got the 3 teams in the West, you got the 3 teams in the North, and you got the Philly. And that's it. I don't even know if Tampa's in there anymore. They're being outscored on the season by 26 points. I don't know if you can be a Super Bowl contender of legitimacy in December when you're negative point differential. That's one thing if it's early in the year. It takes a while for the games to even out. Maybe you had one bad game, something like that. But, for the most part, Steelers, Ravens, Bengals in that AFC North, they're all negative point differential, So really, who are the contenders? It's like realistic contenders as we hit, the first week in December. Denver, Houston, New England, Buffalo. Maybe Chargers. So Denver, Chargers, Houston, I think because of the D, Buffalo, New England. Got a handful in the AFC. And in the NFC, it's the 3 teams in the AFC, in the NFC West. It's the 3 teams in the NFC North, and it's Philly. So you got those 7 teams. And that's not, and one of those 7 teams might not even make the playoffs. You may, who knows? We may not see a Detroit may get left out. So it's wide open. And it is a war of attrition. And it's a sprint to the finish. And the 49ers are going to be favored to win in all 4 of their games. 3 of 4 at home. They could potentially run the table. And if things break right, they could run the table and get the 1 seed. And the road to the Super Bowl in the NFC would roll through Levi's. And then, of course, the road through the Super Bowl rolls through Levi's because the Super Bowl's at Levi's. Wouldn't that be something? If the 49ers never had to leave their home stadium in a playoff run. Wow, that would be something. A lot of work to do, but it's out there if they want to accomplish it. All right, that is going to do it for us. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to our good friends at Brunt for sponsoring this video. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.